Everyone, welcome back once again to my educational channel on biology. Teacher Janet here. In this short video, we're going to discuss the formation of twins. This is taken from the Form 4 Biology kssm syllabus, subtopic 15.5. So it's usually interesting to interact with a pair of twins, as it can be amusing to observe their similarities and find out some differences between them so that we can identify them well. Sometimes the difference that's obvious could be from the aspect of behavior, right? So I know a pair of twins in which one twin is very happy and cheerful. He always greets the teachers and his friends. But his counterpart, the other twin, is very shy and keeps to himself. So it's quite amusing to note the stark contrast between the twins. So twins actually refer to two children that are born from one pregnancy, that is, born in the same birth. So let's find out the three different types of twins and how they are formed in the mother's uterus. For example, identical twins. In the formation of identical twins, a special event occurs during the development of the embryo, where the embryo suddenly splits, right? So this only occurs in identical twins. Let's find out more. Standards for today's lesson are as follows. Firstly, we should be able to describe the processes in the formation of twins. And these are number one, identical twins, and number two, fraternal twins. Next, we should be able to compare and contrast twin identical and fraternal twins. And lastly, correlate cellular division with the formation of conjoined twins. So here is our overview or concept map of this chapter, chapter 15, sexual reproduction, development, and growth in humans and animals. Now, in the previous video, we talked about the development of the human fetus. So in this video, we're going to discuss the formation of twins, and these are identical twins, fraternal twins, and conjoined twins. And in the next video, we will round up everything and discuss health issues related to the human reproductive system. Okay, we'll finish with this topic on health issues related to the human reproductive system and causes of human infertility, including impotency. So let's talk about the formation of twins. Now, what are twins? Twins refer to two children that are born from one pregnancy in the same birth. Okay, so there are two types of twins. Now, identical twins, how are they formed? Now, in the formation of identical twins, one egg is fertilized by one sperm to form one zygote that develops into one embryo, and that one embryo splits suddenly into two embryos. Then the two embryos develop into two genetically identical children because they actually originate or come from the same zygote. Okay, so they have the same genetic constitution, and they are genetically identical, meaning that they also have identical appearance. All right, face looks the same. All right, the blood group is the same, and the genetic traits are similar. So remember this 1, 1, 1, 1, quadruple 1, 2. One egg fertilized by one sperm develops into a zygote, then forms a zygote and becomes an embryo. Okay, these are 4 ones already, and embryo splits into 2. Okay, so this is a memory aid that uses numbers. Now, for fraternal twins are twins that look different. One may be a boy, the other may be a girl, or they can be both girls or both boys, but they don't look alike. Okay, they just look like sisters or brothers, or brother and sister. So in the formation of fraternal twins, two eggs are released in the menstrual cycle. Okay, two eggs are released from the ovaries. They are fertilized by two sperms separately. Okay, to form two zygotes that are genetically different. So these two genetically different zygotes develop into two embryos, and then they become two genetically different children. So our memory aid is all 2, 5 twos. 2 eggs fertilized by 2 separate sperms. Okay, 2 different eggs fertilized by 2 different sperms. to form two genetically different zygotes, develop into two embryos, and then become two genetically different children. Okay, right. So they may be of the same gender, both can be girls, or both can be boys, or there can be one boy and one girl, because the gender or the sex of the child is determined by the chromosomes. This diagram shows us the formation of identical twins compared to fraternal twins. Now, for identical twins, firstly, one ovum was released into the fallopian tube in the menstrual cycle of the woman. And then one sperm fertilized that ovum and a zygote is produced. Then the zygote undergoes mitosis to become a ball of cells, okay, called the embryo. Then the embryo implants into the uterine lining or the endometrium. So this so far is normal, okay. But then an event occurs that is more rare, okay, and that's the splitting of the embryo to form two embryos that are genetically alike, right? So if this embryo implants first and then splits or divides, then the resulting two embryos will have the same placenta, okay? And they will develop from the same placenta, okay? They will get the nourishment from the same placenta. So in this case, the identical twins share one placenta, all right? But they have their own umbilical cord, and usually there are two amniotic sacs, okay? Just that they share one placenta. So 70% of identical twins end up sharing a single placenta, okay? But can there be such a case where uh, the identical twins have two separate placentas? It can happen, although it's not so common. It can happen if the embryo splits here before implantation occurs. Okay, if the embryo splits before implantation, then the two embryos will move to and implant in different parts of the endometrium, so they will have their own placenta. Okay, but if the embryo divides after implantation, as in this case, then the placenta form will be shared by the two fetuses, okay, that develop from the embryos. So this is the most common case. Now, for fraternal twins, the uh, two ova are released in one menstrual cycle, and these two ova are genetically different. And then they are fertilized by two sperms that are also genetically different from each other. Okay, so this will produce two separate embryos that are genetically different from each other because they come from different sperm and ovum. Okay, which are genetically different. So the two separate embryos then implant into the endometrium or the uterine lining, and each one will develop uh, and grow. So they will have their own placentas, okay, and their own umbilical cords, and also there will be two amniotic sacs, okay. So one way to differentiate between the identical twins and fraternal twins is to look at the placenta. If the placenta is shared, definitely it cannot be fraternal twins. It must be identical twins, right? Because fraternal twins have two separate placentas, one for each fetus. So comparison between identical twins and fraternal twins, this can be asked as an SPM question, all right? So if you're asked to give a comparison, give at least 2 to 3 similarities and a few differences also, right? Now, similarities. For both twins, the embryos are formed through fertilization between ovum and sperm. The embryos grow by mitosis when the zygote divides, all right, many times. So you form the embryos, and then these embryos will grow, okay, through mitosis. Placentas are needed for growth and development. The embryos receive oxygen and nutrients from the mother's blood through the placenta, and they get rid of the waste products through the mother's blood at the placenta too. Okay, and then the mother's blood and fetal blood do not mix. Okay, so these are all the similarities. Now for differences, all right, there are about 5 differences here. So this can be asked in SPM also, right? Compare and contrast the formation of identical twins with fraternal twins. Now, identical twins are the products of fertilization of one sperm and one ovum, which forms one zygote. Okay, but fraternal twins are the product of fertilization of two sperms and two ova, right, forming two genetically different zygotes. Now, for identical twins, number 2, the embryo divides into two suddenly. Okay, but for fraternal twins, the embryo does not divide at all. Number 3, one placenta is shared between two fetuses. This is for 70% of the cases, right? Usually there are two amniotic sacs. Okay, in rare circumstances there will be one amniotic sac, but usually there are two, and each twin has its own umbilical cord. So that means we can say that usually there's one placenta and two umbilical cords and two amniotic sacs. Okay, but for fraternal twins, each fetus has its own placenta, as seen here. Okay, so there are two placentas and two amniotic sacs and two umbilical cords. Okay, the difference is the placenta usually. Okay, so identical twins have one placenta and share one placenta, and fraternal twins have two separate placentas. Number 4, the genetic constitution or genetic makeup or genetic content and physical appearance of the identical twins are similar or the same, as they come from the same zygote. And actually, they originate from the same ovum that's fertilized by the same sperm. Okay, so the gametes are the same, leading to the formation of just one zygote. Now, genetic constitution and physical appearances of fraternal twins are different because they actually come from two genetically different zygotes, as we have seen at the beginning. Okay, fertilization of two pairs of sperm and ovum, right, that are genetically different from each other. Now, as to the sex of both twins, it must be the same for identical twins, okay, because sex is determined by the chromosomes, okay, so it has a genetic basis. Now, the sex of both twins, of both fraternal twins, may be the same or they may be different, okay, either two boys, two girls, or one boy, one girl. So here's a fun fact. Do you know that identical twins have different fingerprint patterns? So even though they are genetically identical, they have different fingerprint patterns. Okay, so this can be an SPM HOTS question. So explain why identical twins have different fingerprint patterns, although they are genetically identical. 4 marks, right? So we know that the fingerprint patterns are determined by the genetic factor, that the genes that are inherited from the parents. So why is it that they have different fingerprint patterns? Aren't they genetically identical? Now, this is explanation. In humans, the fingerprint patterns and the ridges of each finger. The ridges are the projections here, tiny projections on the surface of the finger, right? They develop in the uterus during the fetal stage, when the fetus is in the mother's uterus, right? Not when the baby is born, right? So the fingerprint patterns develop at a very early stage, right? Inside the mother's uterus. So then the fingerprint patterns are determined both by the DNA that they inherit from their parents, so this is a genetic factor, but also by the environmental factors in the uterus, right? So what are these environmental factors? The pressures within the womb, which are different for each fetus. Okay, so the position of each fetus in the womb is different. So they will face different pressures on their uh, thumbs and other fingers, all right? Because they are placed in different positions in the womb. And so the flow of the amniotic fluid in the womb is different for the two fetuses, right? So this will cause the changes in the fingerprint patterns. But after they are born, the fingerprint patterns will not change anymore, all right? It will be fixed for life. So fingerprint patterns can be used to identify the twins and differentiate between them. Okay, these are the physical fingerprint patterns. All right. Whereas in terms of the DNA fingerprint, they have identical DNA fingerprint, which we will study in Form 5, because their DNA is alike, right? So DNA fingerprint is alike for identical twins, but their physical fingerprint, the thumbprint and the print on each finger is different, all right? So instead of fingerprint, you can use the word thumbprint, right? Are different for identical twins, all right? So I've done this a project on this before in school to find out the different types of fingerprints and which type is more popular among the students. And we found that twins all have different fingerprint patterns. There may be some similarities, but there are differences between their thumbprints due to the environmental factor in the uterus. Now let's talk about an interesting type of twin here called the conjoined twins or Siamese twins. So what are conjoined twins? They are formed when there is incomplete division of the embryo during the formation of identical twins. Okay, so they're actually identical twins, but the embryo did not divide completely. Characteristics: the same embryo divided incompletely into two parts, two embryos. So it forms two embryos, and later these will develop into two fetuses, with some of their physical parts still fused together or joined together. For example, at the chest, like for example, for this pair of twins which lived long ago, Zhang and Eng, this is the pair of twins that's very famous in the past. So they are actually from Thailand, all right? That's where the name Siamese twins came from, right? And they were joined at the chest, all right? They're fused at the sternum, the sternum here, and they shared one liver, right? And then here we see another pair called Daisy and Violet Hilton. This is also another pair of twins that also joined the entertainment industry, and they were fused at the hips here, all right? Okay, their blood circulatory systems were connected. Now, conjoined twins may also share internal organs like the liver, okay, and certain parts of the body, like okay, and so forth. Some of them, they share brain tissues also, okay, they are joined at the hip. Now, disadvantages. So the lives of conjoined twins are difficult as they must always be together because they are attached to each other all the time. They don't have any time alone, and their movements are limited due to their physical condition. So they may have to find a way to move around. Most conjoined twins die before they are born, or they have short lifespans, right? And some of them may be separated through surgery, but the success of the surgery depends on the joint part and what internal organs are shared between them. So sometimes they can be separated, sometimes they cannot be. Transformative practice 15.5. Number one, what are two differences between conjoined twins and fraternal twins? Right? So conjoined twins are actually identical twins, which are joined to each other due to incomplete division of the embryo. Okay, so we have to clarify that first. And then what are the two differences? The genetic constitution and physical characteristics of conjoined twins, or actually they're identical twins, are similar or the same, but for fraternal twins, they are different. Okay, as we have discussed just now. So the genetic constitution or content are the same for conjoined twins, but different for fraternal twins. The sex of conjoined twins must always be the same. It's always the same, but they may be different for the fraternal twins. Next, state two differences in physical characteristics between conjoined twins and normal twins, normal identical twins, for example. Okay, so conjoined twins are still joined together physically at the chest, abdomen, or pelvis, whereas normal twins are not, whether they are identical or fraternal twins. The normal twins are not joined at any parts of the body. Conjoined twins may share internal organs such as the liver, but normal twins do not. Okay, so that's the other difference. Now, number three, explain two advantages faced by conjoined twins compared to normal identical twins. So conjoined twins have these advantages. They carry out limited movements because they are attached to each other. Okay, and then conjoined twins usually have shorter lifespans than normal twins. Right, that's all for this lesson. Thanks for viewing, and please do share, like, and subscribe. Goodbye for now.